Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of F1 23 Driver Career Mode here on the channel. From a wet start to the weekend of round number 3 of this final season. It's the Belgian Grand Prix here in Spa. You see the R&D coming into this weekend and how things have kind of changed coming into these first few races this season. We are coming off of course, a bit of drama last episode there with Aiden Jackson right towards the tail end of the French Grand Prix, fighting for the win, fighting for the lead, and he locked up into turn 1 and, well, quite simply, long story short, crashed us, and we ended up third place for the first 2 rounds of the season. We have as well been third place. So this weekend, if Aiden Jackson's around us, it's going to be a little bit more of an elbows out kind of treatment that he is going to get from the driver behind the wheel of this Red Bull Audi. So we'll have to wait and see how things shake out here now. But here in FP1, focusing in on just round 3 of the season, we want to avoid another third place and preferably be a second or a first, just to find some gains in this Red Bull Audi. Of course, 2 winners this season with Felipe Drugovich, our teammate in Austria, for the season opener, as well as last episode, Aiden Jackson. Callie Mayer as well tied her career best finish for Trackhouse Racing, her second career second place finish. If you remember, she did it for Connor Sport a few seasons back as well. We roll through into qualifying. Christian Horner getting down there to give us a pre-qualifying chat. It is apparently supposed to rain a little bit later in qualifying, so something we have to stay aware of here. And Bridgestone this weekend is running the same tire that we used in the last episode where we went from mediums to hards, and not the same one from the first episode, but we still will likely see that tire again as we come through in Q1. P14, it was a bit of a scrappy lap, so I wasn't too surprised by that, as Yuki Tsunoda, Piastri, Schumacher, Vesti, and Zane Maloney all out here in this first qualifying session. Now as we focus in on Q2, you can see the cloud coverage starting to kind of build here now, showcasing that sure enough it is definitely going to rain here in a little while now as we come through towards the end of this second sector. And overall we were looking okay, but this final sector didn't quite hook it up quite enough here to be comfortable with where I was going to be, and you're going to see me exit the final turn heading down this front straightaway, getting that rear wing open. It's only going to be P11, so we have to set a second attempted lap here now to try and get ourselves into Q3. Drugovich goes top of the board now as we get through turn 1, already gaining a tenth of a second here, and we would get it up to about 2/10 of a second late in the lap, 2.5 tenths, close to 3, not quite close enough, however, and we would carry this into the final turn, and 2/10 of a second, 2.5 tenths is going to be our official gain at the line. That will put us through into 9th place, so we make it into Q3. Callie Mayer will join us as well. Jack Doohan, Jimmy Chadwick, and the rookie Oliver Behrman out with Marino Sato, as well as Liam Lawson. Trackhouse looking a little bit off the pace here so far. And as we roll into Q3, it was about getting on track as soon as possible because the rain was already falling and it was getting heavier. So it's all about who can put in a lap first, basically, and it wasn't going to be us. Myself and Drugovich are going to be the last 2 actually to be putting in a lap here, and Lando Norris in the Lamborghini, not even on the track. He made it into Q3, a great Q2 effort, but he's not even on the racing track right now, as right now it looks like it's going to be a McLaren that's going to be the first one around. As you can see it, as the lap goes on, the track's getting wetter, just visually you can see it, and Charles Leclerc would be the one in the McLaren to go top of the board here from Spa, and just now is Callie Mayer coming around to cross the stripe, so it took her way longer, which means the lap times are going to be way off of what Charles Leclerc was able to produce. We're coming through these final few corners. What can we do? Towards the end of the lap, tire spray, the rain spray coming up off the tire, and Jackson's only P6, Albon P7. Does this mean we're going to be P8? We're going to find out to the line. No, we go P5. A pleasant surprise, but Drugovich goes 9th. Lando Norris, however, throws a bit of a curveball at everybody here. At the very tail end of the session, Norris goes on track and it was actually drying up, so he would end up leapfrogging up to P7, putting our teammate of Drugovich down to 10th, but we will start P5. Leclerc on pole for McLaren, Yuri Vips for Ferrari, a great effort from him as well. George Russell, Callie Mayer, all in front of myself. This weekend as well, We had Formula 2 in action here from Spa, our second race of the season as a Formula 2 co-owner, and our drivers unfortunately had a bit of a rough day here in Spa. So the rain had let up by the time it was racing time here and the sun had actually come out, but unfortunately our drivers were down there in 18th and 19th with Fornaroli, Browning. Manny would pick up the victory. How about Bianca Bustamante there, P5, a great effort for her, as Montoya just behind her in P6, as you see the rest of the finishing order on your screen. We'll start getting points updates on the F2 series starting in their next race. But now let's focus in on Spa here for the Belgian Grand Prix.
Welcome then, as we take a step back into the nostalgic golden days of motorsport. Spa is unashamedly a throwback, and all the better for it. Climbs, drops, sharp turns, chicanes, sweeping high-speed corners, all while taking in some of the most beautiful scenery that Europe has to offer. This might sound like a travel brochure, but it's not. It's a race day. Welcome along to Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. Spa-Francorchamps today, a circuit that spans 4.35 miles. There are tons of elevation changes along the way too. 19 corners making up this circuit, with 9 of those to the right and the remaining 10 to the left. This track's a great one for fans of pure speed, and the average lap speed comes close to a whopping 145 miles per hour. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Yuri Vips completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Mayer, Golden Boy, Gasly, Norris, Jackson, Albon, Drugovich, Doohan, Chadwick, Behrman, Sato, Liam Lawson, Tsunoda, Oscar Piastri, Mick Schumacher, Vesti, and Zane Maloney. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. A warm welcome to Anthony Davidson, who's beside me in the commentary box today.
Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson.
Let's talk about Mercedes. We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
It doesn't look promising for them so far. And if the new regs have hit them as hard as we think, well, I suspect they may need a few late nights at the factory to get back on track.
We're ready to roll here from the Belgian Grand Prix. It's going to be mediums to hard. Same strategy as the last episode. Two-stop strategy is an option, but everybody, it appears to be, will be starting on the mediums.
The formation lap gets underway then, and it's going to be interesting today to see how the dry conditions could affect the lifespan of the tyres.
You see it there, everybody starting on the mediums right now. It doesn't seem like any of the teams are willing to risk a two-stop, really, when we don't necessarily know the capabilities yet of this new tire that we just started using in France.
As the cars make their way back to the starting grid to form up and get ready for lights out, let's hope the race ahead today is a thrilling one that will go down as a memorable Grand Prix in the history books.
All right, mate, a good starting spot. We think the McLarens have great top speed, so be aware of that.
Yeah, 10-4. Let's have a good one, guys. Ready to roll then here from Spa in this, of course, fresh collaboration between Red Bull and Audi after we departed from Ford, and so far so good. I mean, one win under our belt with our teammate of Drugovich, a double podium in Austria. Things didn't quite work out for Felipe last episode, and it doesn't seem to be working out in the start of this episode either, but hopefully we can continue the momentum that we currently have and have another podium here today at the bare minimum. Here we go, 22 laps of racing, and it's Yuri Vips in P2 trying to pressure Charles Leclerc into turn 1. We're racing now. It's a poor start from Calimere on the left side. It's an alright start from us now, but to our left goes Pierre Gasly, the Frenchman, as now we exit turn 1 wheel to wheel with that Mercedes. We stay ahead. Now into P4. Mayer drops down to P6. Now is Aiden Jackson. What can the defending champion, defending race winner from last episode do here? Now he's right behind Lando Norris. There's our teammate of Drugovich. He's got Alex Albon behind him. Albon has been pointless so far this season. No points in 2 Grand Prix. Can he finally finally turn things around here. Ferrari has had a rough start to the season, to say the least now, but they've shown a lot more potential than they ever have in reality, so it's really interesting. Really terrible start, but a lot more potential as we continue on. You can see right now the two Connor Sports there of Jamie Chadwick, Jack Doohan, Oliver Behrman down the order there. We saw his poor efforts there, did not get out of Q2, and now he's struggling on the start of this Grand Prix as well. The 81 of Oscar Piastri towards the back of the grid there in that BMW Andretti. Speaking of BMW Andretti, as I take a warning for exceeding track limits, team principal, of course, new team principal to that BMW Andretti, Fernando Alonso, will be joining Crofty and Brundle in the booth here in the Through the Grid, so stay tuned on that. Tail end now of lap 1. Here comes Aiden Jackson alongside Lando Norris. Now his head down through the left-hander. Can he get through? Yes, he does. The McLaren Toyota takes P7 as, of course, Leclerc leads the way at the end of lap 1. We are settling in to 4th place, trying to put some pressure on the back of George Russell as Yuri Vips and Leclerc are both driving away from not only Russell but myself included, because I'm struggling right now to get to the back of Russell and put some pressure on the back of that Mercedes now as we continue towards the tail end of lap 2, and you can see the gap increasing to a full second just about, and now here goes Pierre Gasly past me just as that was happening as well. Behind us, Aiden Jackson is going to go past Calimero, so up into P6 goes Jackson. Drugovich as well passes Lando Norris now, and the Lamborghini, who continues to fall in these opening laps. And Lamborghini, I mean, has really been able to benefit off of the regulation changes. You saw it at the beginning of the episode. I mean, they're right there with Connor Sport. They're right there with the top kind of 3-4 teams as well, but a little bit behind, and we're seeing that represented here now is lap 4, and the pressure is back on Pierre Gasly. We got passed by him, but here we go, up the inside, down this long straightaway now, and this is going to be the opportunity to move us through into 4th. Clear already, the DRS, the overtake, battery on. We are absolutely just flying past him there, so back up into 4th place, as now you can see 3 seconds to Yuri Vips. I mean, him and Leclerc both have just absolutely driven away from us, but now the goal is to be able to pass George Russell, and that's going to happen right here as we now head into the DRS zone again. 3.3 seconds to Vips. Let's get this pass done, as it seems like the Mercedes are finding a similar fate to the Lamborghini of Norris, where they're just kind of fading as the laps goes on, because there goes Jackson now. He's able to pass Gasly. I'm trying to keep cars between myself and Aiden Jackson. I don't want to get into a fight with Aiden Jackson today. I don't think it would end well between either of us now. He's now a world champion, of course, so if he's going to get aggressive with me, we have not yet won a world championship, so I'm going to do what it takes to make sure we dethrone Aiden Jackson this season, as now Jackson on lap 6 is able to pass George Russell, so now no cars between myself and Jackson. So that McLaren Toyota going to try and focus in and run us down here in these next few laps as we approach lap 7 of this Grand Prix. Drugovich P8 there behind Calimero, but he's struggling to get the job done. Albon only running in the 10th position right now, and Behrman still maintains 14th. He's struggling to go forward as well here as we approach lap 7 of this Grand Prix. The gap 3.2 seconds of Vips, 3.94 seconds is flirting with for Charles Leclerc now, as Leclerc really putting an impressive pace up in that McLaren Toyota. And as well, we know he led so many laps there towards the tail end of the Austrian Grand Prix season opener, but the Red Bull Audi has just better tire wear. It really seems like this tire that Bridgestone has been bringing, it really seems like this Red Bull can pounce late in the race where the other teams really can't, as you saw a bit of a slide there into that penultimate corner. But our pit window is opening momentarily at the end of lap number 10 as we approach now midway through lap 8. We're 2.7 back from Vips, 4.4 to Leclerc. So Leclerc's driving away. However, Vips is not, as he was actually able to start to stabilize the gap to myself here. Lap 9, safety car is going to be deployed, and it looks like we've got a spin there. That's Liam Lawson in the BMW Andretti who's gone around. We'll get to hear Alonso's thoughts on that, as he's also hit the wall. Onboard replay loops it all on his own and stops everybody behind. Fortunately, that did not turn into a red flag, but this is a much needed safety car. This is going to fill up the pit lane here. Lap 9, everybody's going to flood into here. But I was starting to struggle a little bit, so I was happy with this happening. Now we'll get the hard compound tire on. That's the most unsafe pit release you'll ever see in your life, but that's not going to be a problem. We're still going to exit P3. Gasly is going to get the big short end of the stick, probably the worst end of it from anybody there. He had to wait for his teammate of Russell way longer than other drivers seem to have to wait for. Connor Sport, actually, they're going to have to wait for each other in the background there, but we would much settle into P3 and focus in on this restart. So it's going to be basically half the race done, half of this race remaining, and I was really happy that safety car came out, to be honest. Like I said, it's a reset opportunity now as we get ready to go.
Trying to make quick work of the Ferrari here.
Yep, 10-4. I'll get after him. And here we go. We're back racing now. Leclerc controls the pace, and he has gone down the road already on the run down towards turn number 1. We start lap 12 of 22. Aiden Jackson just behind by a few car lengths. George Russell rounding out that top 5 in that Mercedes Tommy Hilfiger, of course, livery on the car for this season as they move on from that Monster Energy branding, of course, that they had for a few seasons running in this career mode now. As you can see, Yuri Vips and Leclerc both able to drive away early on. Now Jackson putting some pressure on, only 0.3 of a second behind myself, but fortunately we're able to stay ahead here briefly now as he's trying to get that slipstream on us, but we come through to lap 13, 10 laps to go. Let's go through the grid.
Charles Leclerc out in front as he seeks his first win with the new McLaren team. Vips in second with Owen, just outside of DRS range.
Owen showing pure consistency to start the season, 2 third-place results, and now running third again today as he looks to close in.
And with that, we bring in new team principal of the BMW Andretti team this year, 2-time F1 champion, Fernando Alonso. You got us, Fernando?
Yes, loud and clear.
Fernando, not a great race for the team so far, with Lawson having that spin. What's the challenges the car is facing so far?
Honestly, everything so far, we're slow on the straights, slow on the corners, slow everywhere. We're working hard to make up for these issues, but it is going to take a while.
What about the drivers, Fernando? Are you confident in your current roster?
Absolutely. I wouldn't pay them if I didn't have confidence in them. Oscar is in 15th right now, but he has to pit again. But we've got a good pair of drivers.
Okay, thanks, Fernando, for joining us. Oliver Bierman runs in 13th, as it hasn't been a great day for the young rookie.
Meanwhile, Kalia Meyer runs in 6th, another good run for her to start the season. I like the consistency we've seen so far from her.
A great run for her so far today.
And there you have, through the grid, you heard the conversation with Fernando Alonso, new team principal of the BMW Andretti team. Trouble here at the end of lap 13. That's Mick Schumacher in the just normal BMW team. That's actually got some issues. That's a mechanical failure there for the German. It's going to be day over. It's been a rough comeback to Formula One for Mick Schumacher so far this season. 3 races, and probably I would say 3 races he would really like to forget. That BMW team, I mean, they have had so many struggles now, and the team that they've partnered with Andretti for this season already showing more success than that team has been able to produce. Now, as you can see, we have run down Yuri Vips. Now, Leclerc, 2.6 seconds the gap to him, but we are all over the back now of this Ferrari. Yuri Vips in his 2nd season in Formula One, moving to the, of course, iconic team now in red, and bringing Albon over with him as well. A brand new lineup after Hamilton and Verstappen both retired. It's a great run for Vips, but unfortunately, he's going to lose P2. We'll pass him for the 2nd spot. He'll jump to P3, and I think he's probably going to end up missing a podium as well, as I believe Aiden Jackson's going to have a good opportunity here to run him down and pass him as well. Now, as you can see, pit stops now, lap 15. This is Piastri, who actually went onto the softs, and same for Frederick Vesti in the Williams Audi as well. He went on softs at that safety car restart, so he is also in for a pit stop. I believe Zane Maloney as well, currently on the soft tire. So now we've got to P2. The goal is to run down Charles Leclerc. The goal, or the gap, 2.1 seconds with 7 laps to go. Jackson putting some pressure on Vips. He is going to be able to pass him any moment, really, at this point, and he would get the job done. Lap 17, this is Drungovich as well, passing Kalia Meyer with the DRS into P6. He goes as Jackson's up to P3. Albon still down in P9. You have to wonder, what's going on with Alex Albon? Have we witnessed the end of an era? Albon, who was so strong, wins 2 championships, of course, and then just really didn't have it last season, and he doesn't seem to have it right here as well, with the big mistake last episode in that self-spin, and no points so far on the season, but only on track to get 2 today, while his teammate runs in 4th with so much more less experience. Lap 19, we are closing in on Charles Leclerc, 1.6 seconds, and this is where we're really gaining these series of of corners right here, the left-right, that's 0.2 of a second, nearly 0.3 of a second. The gap, 1.5 seconds. The gap to Jackson, a full 2 seconds. So no pressure there from the McLaren as we try to pressure the other McLaren of Leclerc, who wants to get that first win of the season. He was oh so close in Austria, nowhere near in France, as things went very wrong for Leclerc from qualifying all the way through the Grand Prix, but he still rebounded to a respectable finish. But lap 20 of 22, and we are now able to get within 1 second. That series of corners, we're gaining 3/4 of a second every time. We have DRS at the end of the lap to kick off 2 laps to go, and now it's game on with Charles Leclerc. We've been putting some pressure on late in this Grand Prix. We use the DRS down this long straightaway that's going to get us within about half a second, with about another lap and a half still to, of course, determine the outcome here. You saw a little bit of a slip there from Leclerc. That allows us about 1/10 of a second, but no more than that here now. But the pressure is on. If we can continue to stay within the DRS, that final lap, it's going to be hard because the AI can always just, for whatever reason, deploy basically unlimited battery. So it's going to be hard to fight with Leclerc, but hopefully we can stick with them up until that point here now as we come through these final few important corners to set us up for that final lap run. And look at the gap continuing to close. Now 2.3 seconds to Jackson. Yuri Vips is going to hold on to 4th, Russell P5, and the battle is all right here. Focus for the win in the Belgian Grand Prix. DRS activated. We slip and slide with the rears. 1 lap to go, 0.4 of a second. The gap on the run into turn number 1, playing it cautiously aggressive there, going a little bit deep into the corner now, but it's all about the exit, and it's pretty even. Leclerc keeps the gap just over half a second now. Through Eau Rouge and Radian, up the hill we go, and now this is the big moment of truth. The DRS open that rear wing, just completely drain the battery, and it's not enough to get alongside Leclerc. He stays ahead into the corner, so that's not what we needed, but we know he's going to slip and slide. There's a slip, there's a slide. We're all over the back there of the Monaco-based driver. He hangs on, though. Can we get around Charles Leclerc on this final lap? He's done a great job defending here into these final couple of laps, just maintaining P1, as now he is a few car lengths ahead. We go wide on the apex and off the circuit we go, and he opens the gap back up to a good 4 or 5/10 of a second, and he would continue to open it up to 7.5 as I make another mistake here towards the end of the second sector. 8/10, 9/10 of a second gap at this point, and it's over. We're not going to get there. We had 1 lap basically to get close enough to make a move, and I just couldn't pounce on it. And now Leclerc rounds the final few corners. Charles Leclerc is going to come through to win in just his 3rd race with the McLaren F1 team.
A good day, guys. P2. I mean, I almost had him. Sorry. But, I mean, we're going in the right direction.
Great drive, Gary. That win is coming.
It was a tough race at times, but they've held on to take a great victory for McLaren today.
McLaren now seeing that, hey, they don't need to rely on their defending champ of Aiden Jackson. They're going to win back-to-back Grand Prix, but both drivers now at the top step of the podium. And obviously, hopefully, next episode, when we head to Baku, the streets of Azerbaijan, maybe we can join being the second winner of Red Bull. That way, both drivers from both of what are arguably the best teams or the favorite teams for the championship fights can both be, or all be on the top step of the podium after just 4 Grand Prix. I think the big question is anybody other than Red Bull or McLaren capable of winning this season? We'll have to wait and see, of course, as this season develops. Now, there's still upgrades coming into cars, so there's still a team that could maybe find a little bit of momentum in the R&D and get ahead of everybody else. Preferably it's us, but we'll have to wait and see. We do have an upgrade coming next episode to do with the turbo, so we'll have to wait and stay tuned on that to see if it comes through or not. But yeah, I mean, still, P2, I wanted to win. We were close, just wasn't quite enough, but still a good day. A third, and a second to kick off the season. Absolutely fantastic. Albon, his first points finish of the season, P9. Gasly, after getting screwed by just the pit stop formation under safety car, ends up in 10th place. And as well, there you see the standings. With 3 back from Aiden Jackson, Leclerc is in the mix now. Dragovic 11 back. He's lost a few points now. But that's going to wrap it up. I'll see you guys in the next episode for Azerbaijan, where McLaren Toyota enters with a 9-point advantage over Audi Red Bull. I'll see you guys then. Have a great day.